When you put you fill out your little circles like an ACT test, you know, and you go through it goes through that thing. It's called an optical character reader, OCR. It reads it, puts the piece of paper in the machine, and then documents the votes in a little chip. And then what they do is they print out a little ticket, like a little receipt on the side of that box, and they grab the ticket, and they grab the little chip, and they put that, and then it goes where? Where does it go? Who takes it there? When do they? Who knows where all that stuff's happening? We asked to see the chain of custody. Turns out, after our, and it was a very pleasant meeting, very diplomatic. Roxana was very, gracious. And turns out, a couple days later, we get a letter from her articulating that it turns out there was no chain of custody for 32 years. Karen Fitzsimmons didn't have a written chain of custody about where the memory chips came from and how they were carted around the county when they were counted. It turns out that election cycle, there was problems with the 2 memory chips for the absentee ballots. You remember that? How they couldn't get the vote out? So what we asked for in that meeting, and I'm just telling you all this because people aren't engaged. I went to those meetings, they're up front. If you engage and ask some questions, you're going to be blown away about what's going on. Blown away. It's out of hand. It's
government gone
wild. We said to her, we just want to do a random audit of 1 precinct. 1 precinct. Pick them out of the 63 in Scott County, you pick it out of a hat, you do the smallest, the biggest, we don't care. We want to do a random audit. You would have thought that we'd have asked her to, strike somebody down. It was like, oh, we can't do that. Oh my God. She was a little bit prepared. She had the statute from the code, and it was all about recount. Here's all the precepts for recount. It has to have this criteria. And I looked at her and said, Roxana, the word recount never came out of our mouth. We want to do an audit. You're the auditor. We just want you to audit 1 precinct. That's it. And I said, what's the downside of you auditing 1 precinct? Think about it. You audit it, there's no problem. We have to go away. We got nothing to complain about. You've proven that there's no problem. You audit it, and there is a problem. You're brand new. 32 years of the previous person. You did an audit, and you found a problem, and you fixed it. You're in for life. Why would you not do an audit? She stood on the Help America Vote Act and said, we can't do it because what the federal mandate is, named all the state stuff, actually had to call the Secretary of State's attorney and find out, because we asked so many questions she couldn't answer. And she came back with this whole thing about, and all the Secretary of State's attorney emailed us was you can't do a recount. And we're like, we're not asking for a recount. There's a verb and a noun, right? It's an audit, all right? It's not the same thing. And I share this anecdote with you just to share with you that we have to be engaged, guys. Have to be engaged. If you want to see any of these things change over here, any of them, you got to be engaged. And it isn't about partying, because they're a two-headed beast. Yes, ma'am.
One time I checked one of the bids that had been supplied for the SECC project. It was around a $2-3 million bid, piece of the project. And the vendor had gone back to the county for questions that they do back and forth, so they asked for more information. And one of the questions from the vendor was, what's the budget for this? And the response from the county was, there are ample funds.
The taxpayers about pockets are bottomless. They don't have it out, go get some more.
Right there? Wouldn't you like to go to like the Best Buy or the furniture store and just say I've got what is it? Ample fund. Here's my ample fund card. It's insane. So.
Well, I can also tell you, I spoke with Dee Bremer regarding the problems because she was bragging about we don't have the financial problems in our county like or cities like Moline does. And so she elaborated because I was like, well, what do you mean? What's the difference? She elaborated and said, well, Moline really doesn't focus on property tax at all. They're focused heavily on sales tax for the revenue, for government revenue. And here in Scott County and Davenport, we focus primarily on property tax. Well, when the economy goes down and people have to cut budgets and all that other stuff and spending is down, well, you're still collecting the same amount on property tax, where Moline now has to cut back their government because their population also has to cut back. So there's a correlation there. And literally, Dee Bremer and them are bragging about the fact that they don't have to worry about cutting anything. They're doing great.
Career politician.
Absolutely not considering the fact that their citizens are struggling financially. So, yeah, I'd rather be more like Moline, to tell you the truth.
Jonathan Narcissus is one of the reasons I'm supporting him so heavily. Is his vision for a property tax is to take it to a flat 1% of the most recent purchase price. So if you bought a dilapidated downtown building in Des Moines or Waterloo for $50,000, put a new roof on, new air conditioning, new plumbing, new electricity, all that stuff, and put another 150 grand into it, the following year you only paid 50 for it. If you put another 150 in it, your tax is only $500 as long as you own the building. It's flat. And then when you sell it 10 years for $300,000, the new guy who bought it for $300 pays 1% of that. That's compelling to me. That seems like a pragmatic approach, not penalizing the farmer who buys a piece of land and puts up a new building. All of a sudden, boom, here's your taxes go up. You're penalized for exercising your fundamental right to own property, which it's just insane. And then the question becomes, well, fine, if you're going to cut the taxes down, how can we afford it? Well, guess what? Maybe we need to cut some things. Like all of us have to cut things out. Maybe the government needs to cut. USA Today, a week ago, folks, had a headline that they did a study of the federal employees' compensation and benefits. The average federal worker, $123,000. Who saw this? Anybody see this on USA Today? $123,000. What was the private sector, Jim? Do you remember? 61. Twice. Double.
What's the federal government unemployment rate?
Yeah, 0. I mean, I'm not trying to demagogue here, guys. This can't go on. We don't have it. You can't get blood from a stone. We got to change this. So,
well, before we take more questions, let's wrap up the rest of this part of the convention, and then we can open up the rest of the questions. And then that way, if folks want to leave, you're welcome to leave too. So you're not stranded here. I know it's a little warm in here, and I appreciate the patience.
Just in terms of our platform,
yeah.
Just from listening to you guys talk, something on there about, protecting our rights, educating people about the rights they have that they don't know. I don't know how to word it, but, the judge didn't even know, so the people certainly aren't going to, all of them. But something about education, protecting, like when you market it, protecting your rights.
Securing our rights by educating the public.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yep.
How about that?
So what are we going to do about the media monopoly? That's going to have to be addressed if we want to truly
Well, start with River City Reader. Those guys need to be...
you got to watch those people. You bring up a good question. What about the media? Well, if this crew is on the ballot, now we have a platform to have a voice. I mean, we sent out that news release. Elliot got a phone call from WVIK, Quad City, or Moline Dispatch. I think it's kind of interesting that nobody from the Times has paid attention. But
that's all right. Channel 6.
No, but we know what we're dealing with there. It's all growth at any cost. It's this doesn't matter. It's not a Democrat-Republican thing. It's just, as long as there's churn, it doesn't matter. Let's just keep everything growing, if you will. That's the model. Yes, sir.
I tried to get a list of employees from the city of Davenport, city employees, how much they make, including overtime contributions to the pension and medical care, and they guard that. Now that should be on the internet.
Yeah.
It should be published once a year. People don't know how much.
Well, there's a city council election next year. So Iowans for Accountability is, doing some good things, and some of you hopefully will step up if you live in Davenport or Bettendorf or even your own Bluegrass or Princeton or wherever you are, get involved.